We have more homes pending now than we've had all year. Let's talk about that and more in this week's segment of Market Watch. Hi everyone, Joshua Barks here, Associate Broker with Keller Williams Realty Boise and the Barks & Co. Real Estate team. Thank you for tuning into this week's segment of Market Watch. And if you're new to the channel, we talk about the Boise area housing market on a week-over-week basis, and then once a month we go into a deep dive into the market dynamics for an entire month. So be sure to check out last week's video in case you missed it. The link to that is going to be in the description below. And let's get started. Let's get into the numbers this week. So exciting news. Even though we saw our peak in inventory, we broke the 900 threshold for active listings for the first time in 2 years last week. This week, we have more pending overall than we've had all year. So inventory overall went down just slightly, so still over 900 with 914 active listings compared to last week's 920. We did have fewer new listings come to market this week, with only 215 new listings hitting the market compared to last week where we had 240 new listings come to market. And then, like I said, with demand is meeting that supply because like I've been saying all year, even though inventory is rising, we desperately need more homes to come to market. So we have 871 pending sales right now in Ada County, which is incredible. That's up significantly from last week's 840s pending overall. And one fun thing to note this week as well is we had 227 of those 871 pending go under contract in just the last 7 days. So we had 227 homes come off the market, go pending, and 215 come on. So demand is still outpacing supply across the board, pretty much what we're having there. And our week over week under contracts is staying pretty much the same. We had 231 that went pending last week compared to this week's 227. So like I've been saying, it's a great time to be a buyer right now because you're starting to get more options, and it's a fantastic time to be a seller still because you can capitalize on this hot seller's market that we're experiencing. Yes, it's not as crazy as what we saw in the spring or even last year, but things are still very much in the seller's favor. And if marketed and priced correctly, sellers are still seeing multiple offers within just a few days and selling for top dollar. So that's really important, especially because interest rates are still being held at a really incredibly low 2.88 for the 30-year fixed, according to Freddie Mac. And the fun thing about that is if you're a seller in this market and a buyer, you can capitalize on your sale and then lock into a great interest rate on your buy side. And because we have more inventory, you likely have more options and a little bit less competition than what you faced last year. So if you're looking to move into the same market that you're selling in, you can come out ahead, which is incredible. As I've been saying, our fall market, we were poised for a strong fall. So far, we are seeing that fall market has begun. Happy autumn, everyone, officially as of Wednesday this week. When we're talking about actual number of home sales, before I end the video there, we had 209 homes close last week. This week we had 189 closed, so staying very consistent on the sales side as well. I anticipate the number of homes sold to increase for next week because it's the end of the month and we usually see an uptick in the number of sales by the end of the month. And so I'm going to guesstimate that inventory is going to stay about the same, likely a little bit of a bump as more people list for fall. And then pending sales are also going to stay pretty consistent. And then we're going to see a jump in those homes sold. So I think overall pendings is going to come down, but the week over week is likely going to stay the same, if not come up a little bit. And the reason I say overall pendings are going to come down is because that number of homes sold going from pending to sold are going to increase next week. So every time we see a huge increase in the number of sales, a bunch of the pendings come off the market because they actually physically closed. So that's kind of a wrap on what we're seeing in the market for this week. Inventory's coming up, demand is still staying very strong, and as long as we continue to have those low interest rates, we're likely not going to see demand wane too much anytime soon, especially not for our fall market, and likely continuing into the winter, because we have a lot of people that wanted to move last year and earlier this year that felt like it wasn't the right time or wanted to wait. And so now we're getting to experience that because now we have more choices, which is fantastic. Again, we still need way more homes on the market. So if you're thinking about selling your house, or maybe you're just curious about the value because maybe you bought it just last year and you want to make a steal because prices have increased so rapidly over the last year, or even if you bought in the last few years, you probably have significant equity gains. Just reach out to me or reach out to the realtor that you trust. I'm happy to get you those numbers so you can make an informed decision on what your next steps are for you and your family. Because like I said, I'm just here to be a resource for you and educate you all on the process and anything I can do to help you make your informed decisions so that you don't get stuck holding the bag. That's pretty much what we have for this week. If you have any questions, just let me know. My number is 208-914-1095. Of course, you can always visit my website as well. And a fun feature that I added recently is that you can book me directly online. So on my website, under our services, you can book an appointment with me directly on my calendar. You don't have to call me. You don't have to email me. You don't have to text me. You can just fill out your information with a couple of clicks, schedule a time that works for you, and then bam, it shows up on my calendar and your calendar, and then we meet. I offer both in person and via Zoom, so either way works well. It just depends on what your needs are. Okay, so that's that, and I hope everyone has a great weekend, and we will see you next Friday for Market Watch. Thanks so much.